MBA 201 Advanced Business Statistics with Computer Applications. For this module, let's first discuss topic number 1. This is Review of Statistical Foundations, MBA 201. So for the topic outline, we will be introducing first the topic, next discuss probability and sampling distributions, to be followed by estimation and hypothesis testing, and lastly, discuss regression analysis and correlation. The field of statistics encompasses the systematic gathering, arrangement, examination, understanding, and demonstration of data with the purpose of resolving real-world issues and deriving meaningful insights. In the process of data analysis, the methodologies employed can yield varied interpretation of identical datasets. Statistics plays a crucial role in various scientific areas that need the prediction of or classification of events using extensive datasets. It constitutes a fundamental component within the domains of machine learning, bioinformatics, genetics, economics, and other related disciplines. The field of statistics is concerned with analysis and interpretation of quantitative attributes pertaining to a wide range of occurrences. This phenomenon arises due to the inherent challenge of articulating definitive conclusions in particular disciplines, in contrast to the explicit nature of mathematical formulas or theorems. Now let's proceed to probability distribution and sampling distributions. Probability refers to the measure of the likelihood or chance of an event occurring. The probability values are often represented within the range of 0 to 1. The outcomes of every random event are dictated by the probability distribution. The concept can be characterized as a compilation of probable results for a stochastic experiment contingent upon the fundamental sample space. There exist two distinct probability distributions that serve different objectives and cater to diverse types of data generating processes. We have normal or cumulative probability distribution, and we have binomial or discrete probability distribution. The cumulative probability distribution is alternatively referred to as continuous probability distribution. A continuous distribution is a mathematical function that characterizes the likelihoods associated with the potential values of a continuous random variable. A continuous random variable is characterized by a range of values that is both unlimited and uncountable. The concept of time mapping can be regarded as an illustrative instance of a continuous probability distribution. The range of time intervals can span from 1 second to 1 billion seconds and beyond. So we have here the formula for cumulative or continuous distribution. Likewise, the normal probability distribution encompasses several sets of numbers such as complex numbers, prime numbers, and whole numbers. Furthermore, in practical situations, the daily temperature serves as an instance of continuous probability. The formula for the normal distribution is here, as you can see, where this symbol stands for the mean value, the standard distribution of probability. If the mean is equal to 0 and standard deviation is equal to 1, then this distribution is known to be normal distribution. And for x, it indicates the normal random variable. So for binomial or discrete probability distribution, the concept is basically it pertains to the determination of the probability associated with the occurrence of individual values of a discrete random variable. A discrete probability distribution is characterized by a set of outcomes that are discrete in nature. Okay, this distribution can be exemplified by the count of spoiled apples out of a total of 6 that is present in your refrigerator. So we have here the formula for the discrete probability, where n is the total number of events, r is the total number of successful events, p is the success on a single trial probability, and 1 minus p is the failure probability. So for instance, when a dice is rolled, the resulting outcomes are discrete in nature and collectively from a discrete probability distribution. The term probability mass function is another commonly used designation for this concept. So now proceeding to sampling distribution, the premise of sampling distribution involves utilizing data obtained from a small subset of a somewhat larger population in order to make inferences about the likelihood of a particular event occurring. The primary aim of this approach is to provide statistically valid findings based on limited samples drawn from a larger population. The concept underlying a sampling distribution is that, given a substantial dataset obtained from a sizable population, the value of a statistic derived from random samples taken from a smaller subset might provide insights into the corresponding statistic for the entire population. So in the field of statistics, there are three commonly recognized forms of sampling distribution. We have sampling distribution of mean, sampling distribution of proportion, and we have t-distribution. Let's discuss the different types of sampling distributions. So first is sampling distribution of mean. The mean is the most prevalent type of sampling distribution. The primary objective of this study is to determine the arithmetic mean of each selected sample group derived from the population, as well as to visually represent the collected data points through plotting. Next is sampling distribution of proportion. This sampling distribution pertains to proportions within a given population. The process involves the selection of samples and the subsequent calculation of their respective proportions. The sample proportions rather from each group serves as estimates for the proportion of the overall population. Moving on to t-distribution, this is a type of sampling distribution that is commonly used when dealing with tiny populations or populations with limited information available. The technique is employed for the purpose of approximating the population mean as well as other statistical measures, including confidence intervals, statistical disparities, and linear regression. The t-distribution employs a t-score as means of assessing data that is not suitable for analysis using a normal distribution. So we have here the formula for t-score, where in the formula, x is the sample mean and the symbol, or this symbol, is the population mean and signifies the standard deviation. Now let's proceed to the estimation and a hypothesis testing. Estimation refers to the process of approximating or determining an unknown quantity or value based on available information, often in situations when precise measurements or calculations are not feasible or practical. Estimation in the field of statistics serves as a valuable tool for various stakeholders, including companies, election authorities, healthcare experts, scientists, mathematicians, and others, enabling them to discern patterns and trends within datasets. Within the field of statistics, there exist two distinct types of estimate methods. The estimations can be classified as either point estimate or interval estimate. So let's discuss both types of estimation. First is point estimation, where this refers to the procedure of approximating the value of an unknown parameter of a population, such as the mean or variance, by utilizing data obtained from a sample. Point estimate is considered to be the more straightforward form of estimation due to its focus on estimating a singular variable. In this strategy, a sample statistic, such as the sample mean or sample variance, is employed as an approximation of the population parameter. So the determination of the point estimate is contingent upon the nature of the data being analyzed. We have categorical data, which refers to the data that is divided by the sample size, resulting in the number of occurrences. For the numerical data, it pertains to the sample's mean, which is also referred as the average. Alright, so for the second type of estimation, we have internal estimation. This involves the estimation of the range of values within which the population parameter is expected to lie. Interval estimation is the process of estimating a range of values when the population parameter is not known and there is a need to quantify the level of uncertainty around its values. This sort of estimation is employed. A representative measure derived from a sample is employed in the process of interval estimation to approximate a confidence interval. This interval represents a range of values within which we have a reasonable level of confidence that the population parameter is likely to lie. So for hypothesis testing, this is a commonly employed method within the field of inferential statistics. Hypothesis testing diverges from estimation as it involves initiating a hypothesis based on preconceived notion about the population, then afterwards examining whether the sample data corroborates this hypothesis. When engaging in estimating, one is essentially attempting to provide a solution to the query, what are the characteristics of the population? In the context of hypothesis testing, the objective is to determine if the characteristics of a given population conform to a specific hypothesis or not. There are two known statements in hypothesis, which are null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So to discuss the two known statements in hypothesis, first is null hypothesis. Basically, this is referred to as the null. It is a proposition on a population parameter such as the population mean, which is postulated to be accurate. So the null hypothesis serves as an initial assumption or baseline, and the objective of this is to assess the likelihood of the null hypothesis value being true through rigorous testing. Now, for alternative hypothesis, on the other hand, this is a proposition that directly opposes a null hypothesis by asserting that the true value of a population parameter is either less than, larger than, or not equal to the value specified in the null hypothesis. The alternative hypothesis posits the specific deviation or discrepancy that is believed to exist in relation to the null hypothesis. Proceeding to our next discussion, this is regression analysis and correlation. Regression analysis is a statistical technique used to examine the relationship between a dependent variable and one or more independent variables. This methodology is employed to examine several variables that may impact a certain goal, such as the efficacy of a product launch, organizational expansion, or a novel marketing initiative. Its purpose is to ascertain the significance of these variables and discern which ones can be disregarded. So we have here two types of regression analysis. First, we have simple linear regression. This regression model is utilized to evaluate the association between a dependent variable and an independent variable. A linear regression model employs a singular straight line to establish the association between a solitary independent variable and a dependent variable. Next type is multiple regression analysis, where several regression analysis is a statistical technique that involves the use of several variables, as implied by its name. This approach employs several independent variables in order to forecast the result of a singular dependent variable. Multiple linear regression is well recognized as one of the most prominent types of multiple regression. So correlation is a statistical measure employed in business to ascertain the association between different sets of data. It finds extensive application in financial analysis and aids in facilitating informed decision-making processes. Regression analysis encompasses the examination of the association between two or more datasets, wherein alterations in one dataset are observed to elicit comparable modifications in another or the other dataset. The integration of correlation and regression analysis plays a pivotal role in the contemporary company strategies, as it contributes to enhance profitability, reduce decision-making complexity and uncertainty, and increase adaptability to dynamic and evolving corporate landscapes. Moving on, let's discuss correlation and regression in the business context. So the following are examples in several business circumstances where it utilizes correlation and regression analysis. So first, we have predictive analytics. The anticipation of potential risks and opportunities is a crucial component of correlation and regression analysis, which holds significant relevance in contemporary business practices. This analytical approach is frequently employed by data scientists and business analysts to project forthcoming results. Next is enhanced decision-making. Corporate leaders depend on data analytics to enhance decision-making by increasing accuracy and reliability. Additionally, data analytics assist management in hypothesis testing and the formulation of more intelligent corporate plans. Next is reveal new business opportunities. Correlation and regression analysis play a crucial role in identifying previously unrecognized business prospects which may have remained undiscovered or overlooked by decision makers. These analytical techniques provide valuable insights that can be strategically leveraged for business purposes. Next is reduce errors and risks. It is feasible to conduct experiments to evaluate novel theories, tactics, and hypotheses in order to ascertain their potential for success and applicability. This approach leads to a decrease in errors and mitigate risks. This approach advocates for the utilization of evidence-based decision-making as opposed to solely relying on past experience and business intuition. Lastly is improved management. In order to enhance organizational performance, it is important to optimize resource allocation, explore novel marketing and advertising avenues, customize products and services, and enhance staff productivity by identifying fresh prospects for refining management processes. So that is the end of our discussion. I hope you were able to understand what we were discussing today. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask.